We are on Pei Hey Amid Aleph. Amar Rebbe, second wide line. This is about 8, 9 lines from the top. Amar Rebbe, Chaviv and Yisurin. Rebbe said Yisurin are very chaviv. Kabbalah Sleiser Shni. He was Kabbalah on himself 13 years. Shis Bitsim Bitsamirta, B'Shevet Bitsaparna. 6 of them he was Makabal himself a Yisurin of basically like a kidney stone that made it difficult to urinate, and 6 of a mouth disease. Auraya debate Rebbe, and the Gemara is going to explain how painful this Yisurin that he took upon himself was. Auraya debate Rebbe, the people who washed the horses in Rebbe's house, have a ater mishvar malka. They were more wealthy than the king Shvar Malka. I mean, Rebbe was very wealthy, and the people who watched over his horses themselves were so wealthy because of that job that you can imagine how many animals he had. Can have a rami kissa lechiyusa, when they would feed them, the animals have a azu kola betlasa mili. The sound from all the animals rushing would go out 3 mil. Have mechaven the rami bahitshaita, the rami bahitshaita the ayel Rebbe labesakise, and they would try to do it to make this loud noise at the same time that Rebbe had to go to the Beis Akise because they knew he was going to be in pain. Even so, the noise of the pain that Rebbe had from these Yisurin were louder than the thundering herds of horses. The people in the oceans would hear him from far away. And even though Rebbe's Yisurim was so bad, Yisur de Belazar Reb Shimon Adifa mid the Rebbe. Reb Shimon Elazar's Yisurim were worse than Rebbe's. The Ilu Rebbe Elazar, Reb Shimon me'ahava bo me'ahava hochu. We said before, back on Amid Beis, that Reb Shimon Elazar would say, every night, every night, he would say, Bo achi v'rai, he would welcome the Yisurim of the Rebbe Alidei Maisa Bo Alidei Maisa Hochu. Rebbe's Yisurin didn't come and go by his invitation. It came because of a Maisa that happened. Alidei Maisa Bo Mahi, what was the Maisa that brought along the Yisurin? Who Egla, the Havika, Mamtule Lashchita. There was a calf that was on its way to be slaughtered. Azul Tayil Eresha Bekanfe the Rebbe. And this calf stuck his head amongst the folds of Rebbe's cloak. He was trying to get away from the Sheikhet. But Kabachi, and he was crying. Amalei Zilla Kach Netzarta. Rebbe said, "You got to go. This is what your purpose is. You're supposed to be geshachter." Amri Hayavle Kamerachem Leisole Yisurin. Since Rebbe was not merachem on this calf, he's going to get Yisurin. And how did the Yisurin go away from a Maisa? Yumachan have a kokonsha amse the Rebbe Besa. The maidservant at Rebbe's house was sweeping. Have a shadja b'nei karkushta, and she swept like this little bunch of weasel pups. For kakansha lahu, and she was going to sweep them out. Amar la shafkinu. Rebbe said, "No, let them be." Sev racham al kol masav. The Moshe was racham on all his creations. Should he be racham on these little weasels? Amri hal merachem deracham aleh. So they said, since Rebbe was merachem, also going to be merachem on him. And therefore his Yisurim went away. So since Reb Shimon Elazar's Yisurim came and left Biahava with his asking for them, and Rebbe's came through by demonstration, so Reb Shimon Elazar's Yisurim were great. Kulu Shnei Yisuri de Belazar, L'Shachav Inish B'Loi Zmane. The entire time that Belazar Reb Shimon was suffering his Yisurim, no one died prematurely. The entire time that Rebbe was suffering his Yisurim, there was no need for rain. The world was sustained; it had sufficient irrigation without rain. It's very bad to have rain. It's very disruptive. It causes a lot of traffic and a lot of difficulties. So it's worse than the day of when you have a gzar din. If not for the fact that the world needs rains, Bo Rabban Rachmi Aleh Mavatale. The Rabbanim would be Mavatale. Tafil Hachi, Ki Ave Akri Pulgo Mimishra, when you in the times of Rabbi, when there was no rain, even so, when you'd pull out a radish or a turnip from the ground, have a kaima bira malya maya. The spot where it had been would fill with water because there was enough water in the ground to sustain everything. Ikla Rebbe la'asr de Belazar of Shimon. Rebbe traveled to the place where Belazar of Shimon had lived. Belazar of Shimon eventually, like we said, he was nifter, and he had to be. He was in the attic for a long time. Eventually, they buried him. So Rebbe came to where he had lived. Amalei yesh le ben lo tzaddik. He asked, does a beloved Shimon have a son? Amalei yesh le ben. He does have a son. Any Zaina who charges 2 coins to be with her, she would hire him for 8 because he was so beautiful, and he was obviously also promiscuous. Asya, so Rebbe went asamche beRebbe. Rebbe gave him smicha. Rashi says he gave him smicha in order to motivate him to go away from his evil ways, and that he should live up to his title. Ashla Meiler of Shim ben Isi ben Lekunya, Achos de Ime, Rebbe hired Reb Shimon ben Isi, who was the brother of his mother, his uncle, Kol Yuma, and he hired him to learn with him. Kol Yuma have a Amar Lekraisi Ani Ezel. Every day, this son I think it turns out later it's Rabbi Yossi, would tell his Rebbe, his tutor, that I want to go home. I'm not interested in learning anymore. Amalei Chacham Avdu Yasach. They're going to make you into a Chacham. The Gulsa, the Dahava, Parsolech, they're going to spread a golden beggar on you. The Rebbe, Karolach, they're going to call you Rebbe. Ba'at Amar Lekraiso an Ezel. And you'll say, you want to go home? Amalei Mumi Azuva. He made a shua. I'm not da. Mumi azuva ba. I'm going to stay here. Einachanami, you're right. Ki gadol, when he got older, also yasa mesifta de Reb Shmaya. Mesifta de Rebbe. He went and learned by Rebbe. The Rebbe was the sponsor of his tutor, and with whom he became a Talmid Chacham. Shamei lekale, and Rebbe heard the voice of this son of Shimon Lazar. Amar. It sounds like a Belazar of Shimon's voice. Amalei Brehu said it's his son. Karele Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim. The Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim lekech nefashos. The fruit of a tzaddik is a living tree. Lekech nefashos. Chacham. And the one who takes nefashos is a chacham. Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim Zer Rabbi Yosef Belazar of Shimon. That's referring to Rabbi Yossi, who is the pri of a tzaddik. His father was a tzaddik. The one who grabs the nefesh is a chacham. Zer Shimon ben Isi ben Lekunya. This is his Rebbe, who I hired, who was able to get him, who was able to chap him. Kinach nafshe. When this son, Yossi, the son of Elazar of Shimon, died, Amtul the Ma'arasa Davua. They wanted to bring him back to the cave. Rav Shimon ben Yochai was buried in that cave that he had learned for 13 years with his son, with Rabbi Elazar, and now they wanted to bring the grandson, Rabbi Yossi, who was the son of Rabbi Elazar, and Rabbi Elazar, Rav Shimon was already buried there, like we said before. The snake opened up its mouth. Hava hajala achna lamarasa, and the same snake was still coiled around the cave. Amalei achna psach picha v'yichnes ben eitz alaviv. They said the same nusach that they said about Rabbi Elazar of Shimon, but this time it didn't work. The snake didn't open up. Because they thought that maybe Rabbi Elazar of Shimon was greater than Rabbi Yossi ben Rabbi Elazar. It's not because Rabbi Elazar was greater than Rabbi Yossi. The difference is Rabbi Elazar was entitled to go be buried there because he had lived with his father and suffered in the Ma'ara, so therefore he was entitled to be buried. Rabbi Yossi was never there. Ikle Rebbe le'aser de Reb Tarfon. Rebbe came to the place where Reb Tarfon had lived. Amalhu yesh lo ben. Does Reb Tarfon have a son? Lo said tzaddik to Reb Tarfon. Shahayi mekapeach as banav. Reb Tarfon had a bad habit that he would make a shvua on his children, on his sons' lives. And it seems a bunch of his sons would die because we say that when tzaddik is geyser, the Moshe is Mekayim also applies even if it's on a tnai. If he says, I'll say on my son, if someone would say on his son's life that that this is the pshat, the Moshe on occasion will take away his sons. Amuloi ben Einla, he taka has no sons. Ben Bas Yeshla, but Tafin has a grandson from a daughter. The whole Zaynish Niskeret B'Shnayim Sachrasa B'Shmeina. The same issue that Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Elazar, had, that he was very popular with the Zaynis. Asyu L'Kamei, he was born in front of him. Amalei, Yadar Tabach Yehivinach Bar Soy. He told Rebbe told this grandson of Rabbi Tafin, if you're Chayzer B'Tshuva, I'm going to give you my daughter as a bride, Hadarbe. And he taka did. He agreed to it, and he became a Baal Tshuva. Ikeda Ami Nasa V'Girsha. Some say after he learned, he became a Talmud Chacham. He became a tzaddik. He married her, then he was Megarisha. Ikeda Ami Nasa Klal. And others say that he never married at all. One, Itaka was motivated by it, but once he learned, he became a finer person. He didn't want people to say that he's like, like Ivanka Trump, that he just did it for the good shidduch. The Lomale Kulehai, why was Rebbe so motivated to go find the children of his colleagues, find out what was doing with them? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, Amila Amar Rab Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yechon, Amila Amar Rab Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rabbi Yonason, Kol Muhammad is ben Chaver Torah, Zeichav Yesh b'Yeshiva Shel Maila. Whoever teaches the child of his friend Torah is Yeshiva b'Yeshiva Shel Maila. Shenem Toshav b'Ashivecha Lefonai. If you'll return and if you'll bring him to me, you'll stand in front of me. Well, so that's what it means. B'chol is ben Amaretz Torah, someone who teaches not his friend, not another Rebbe, another Talmud Chacham, but if you taking out ben Amaretz, I feel it's Baruch Goyz Gzeir Mevatla. Someone who has such a schus, he's going to be able to mevatla the Gzeir of their Baruch B'shvila Shenema v'im toitzi yakar mizaylel kepitia. If you'll take out what's precious from the dross, you'll be like, your mouth will be like my mouth. That's what I'm saying. So that's this someone who makes the child of Amaretz become a Talmud Chacham. Kefitia, his mouth will be like the mouth of Baruch Shem, will be able to overturn a Gzeir. We're on Pei Hey Amid Aleph, about 12 lines up from the bottom. Amr Parnacham Rabbi Yochanan, Kolshu Talmud Chacham, Ubnoi Talmud Chacham, whoever is a Talmud Chacham, and his son is a Talmud Chacham, Ben Benoi Talmud Chacham, and his grandson is a Talmud Chacham, Shuvein Torah Pesekas Mizarei. Torah will never leave them. La'olam, Shenema, Bani Zais Brisi. This is my bris, Lo Yamushim Mipicha will not leave your mouth, Lo Pizaracha from your children's mouth, Lo Pizarazaracha from your grandchildren's mouth. Amar Hashem Me'ata Ve'adoilam. And then it continues, Me'ata Ve'adoilam. Once it gets to Zera Zaracha, then it's already Ad Oilam. My Amar Hashem, what does it mean, Amar Hashem? Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ani Erev L'cha B'dav Hazeh. Hashem says, I'm going to guarantee this. My Me'ata Ve'adoilam, Amar Rav Yirmiyah, Mikam Ve'elech Torah Machzeres Alachsan Yishallah. Once the Torah was already 3 dairas, it's a chazaka, then the Torah always returns to its place of refuge. Rabbi Yosef Arbon Tanisa, we're about 8 lines from the bottom on Pehei Amad Aleph. Rabbi Yosef Arbon Tanisa. Rabbi Yosef sat 40 Tanesim, Vakriya lo Yamushu Mipicha, and he got the bracha, the first bracha that we mentioned, that the Torah will not leave him. Yosef Arbon Tanisa Achrina Vakriya lo Yamushu Mipicha Ofi Zaracha. It won't leave you, and it won't leave your children. Yosef May, they changed it to Mem. Another 40 Tanesim, and Achrina also Vakriya lo Yamushu Mipicha Ofi Zaracham Vizera Zaracha. Then he reached already the point from all Tanesim that he got 3 dairas, and then ostensibly that would continue out. Once he had 3 dairas from his Tanesim, then he was assured that Torah was going to remain by his family. Rav Zera Kisalik L'Ardi Yisrael. When Zera went to Eretz Yisrael, this is very interesting to me because it confirms a feeling that I have as I get older. It makes me feel better. Yosef Meya Tanisa, he fasted 100 Tanesim, l'shtakach Gemara Bavla, in order they should forget Gemara Talmud Bavli. Mine. Kichechi l'lei nitradei. In order that he shouldn't be confused when he comes to learn Yerushalmi. As we get older, it's harder and harder to remember things. And I always feel it's like it's like a full kli. Once it's full of something, something has to be pushed out to make room for the new thing. So you see, that was what he davened, that he should forget Talmud Bavli, so he should be able to learn properly Talmud Yerushalmi. Yosef Meya Acharnisa, the Lishkov, Rabbi B'Shnei. He made another 100 Tanesim that when he comes to Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Elazar should not be nifter while he was there, because he was afraid if Rabbi Elazar would die, they would come to him and ask him to fill in his place and deal with the tzibur. He also he gave another 100 days of tanis that the fire of Gehenna should not touch him. Every 30 days he would check whether this last bracha was makuyim. Shagar tanura, he would heat up a furnace. Salak v'yaseh b'gavein would sit in it. Will have a shalta beinura, and the fire did not harm him. Yom echad yavu be'rabbanan eina. One day he got an ayin hara on him. Ichruchu shakya, and he got a burn mark, a scorch on his leg. B'karle kotin charich shakya. They called him, Ziri was very short, they called him the short one with the burnt leg. Amrav Yudah Amar Rav. My dechsiv mi yeshachacham v'yaven ezoyt v'asher daber dever pi Hashem elav v'yagida. Ama of the aretz says, what does it mean? Who is the person, the chacham, and he understands, and the Dvar Hashem, Dvar Hashem pi. As Dvar Pi Hashem Elav, and Hashem talks to him, and he speaks it over on what the earth was destroyed, and what is the land of Eretz Yisrael, and what is the problem that caused the destruction of the Jewish settlement in Eretz Yisrael. The Chacham said it, but they didn't have an explanation. Amru Nevi'im v'lei Pershu, and they also didn't. The Nevi'im didn't have an explanation. Until the Rebbe himself explains. Shenema, V'im Hashem, the Rebbe said, Al Azam es Teirasi, because you forsook my Torah, Shenasati, l'fneim that I gave to you. Should it be this? I'm surprised at this Shakvataya, because we had it in the laning today, right? The whole parsha, we have the brachas, and we say the Rebbe said it starts the Chukaisai Telechu, and it says Hey Amelim B'Torah. And then you're going to get all the brachas. But if you're not Amol B'Torah, then you're not going to get the klaus. I don't know why. I guess this is, and the bracha is to be in Eretz Yisrael securely. If not, they're going to be cast out of Eretz Yisrael. So I think our parsha answered this question. But anyway, I guess this is another source. Amar Yehuda Amarav, Shalei Baruchu B'Torah Tchila. The reason for the specific reason is that they didn't say Birchas HaTorah. And there's a lot of drush about this, that someone who learns Torah, he doesn't make it for the Rebbeinu Shalom's reasons, but rather for his own. It's going to cause these negative consequences. Amar Chama, my desiv, believe Navin Tanuach, with a understanding heart, you will rest. Chachma, the Chachma will rest on it. But Karev Ksilim Tivada, and amongst the Ksilim, amongst the fools, Tivada will become known. Believe Navin Tanuach Chachma, Zet Talmud Chacham, Bet Talmud Chacham. That's talking about someone who's a child, a Talmud Chacham, who's the son of a Talmud Chacham. Torah is gonna rest by him. But Karev Ksilim Tivada, and amongst these fools, it will become known. Zet Talmud Chacham Ben Amaretz. That's the Talmud Chacham of Amaretz. That'll become known, meaning everyone knows about it. It's such an unusual occurrence that it will be very boilet, it will very stick out. Amar Ula, Haindam Inchi, it's Astira Belegina Kish Kish Karya. A single coin in a jar will make a lot of noise. Meaning, if you have one Talmud Chacham in a family of good for nothings, it will become very well known and make a lot of noise, like a coin in an empty jar. But if you have a jar full of coins, no one notices another coin. Amalei Rav Yirmiyah Lev Zera. Ma'idach Siv Kotam V'Gadol Sham Hu Ve'Eved Chavshi Me'Adoinav. There's a Katan and Gadol there, and the pasuk is talking about in the Beis HaKvaros, and if Eved is freed from his master. Atli Adin the Katan and Gadol Shamu. Don't we know that both the great and the small are buried in the Beis HaKvaros? El Kol Maktan Atzmei Al Divrei Torah Ba'Olam Hazeh. Whoever makes himself small, whoever's an honor of L'Gabi Divrei Torah, Nasa Gadol Olam Haba. There's many times that the Gemara says that you need anivus in order to learn. One has to be open. In order to be open to learning, you have to not be arrogant and not think that you can do it quickly and understand it. You have to really put your mind into it. Whoever makes himself meshubed, achroi to divrei Torah b'olam hazeh, nasa chofshi l'olam haba. He'll be free in olam haba. Rish Lakish have a Metzia in Marasa Derabanan. Rish Lakish took upon himself the job of putting tziyunim, putting matzevas on the burial places of Chachamim in order to avoid the Kohanim wouldn't step on them. When he tried to find the burial place of Ruchia, Yalmamine couldn't find it. Cholish Daite got sad. Have I not learned enough Torah? I don't know why one was dependent on the other, but he says that, how could it be that I can't find it? Didn't I learn enough, as much Torah as he did? Yatsa Baskal ve'Amrloi. Torah kamoisa pilpalta. It's true you learned as much as him. Torah kamoisa loy rivatzta. However, you're not spread Torah. You did not teach Torah as much as Reb Chia. Kava minzer Reb Chanina Reb Chia. Reb Chanina and Reb Chia met. Amalei Reb Chanina Reb Chia. Ahadi didi kam minzis. I'm sorry, when they met, when they were arguing and learning. Reb Chia said to Reb Chanina. Reb Chanina said to Reb Chia, how could you argue me? Chas v'shalom mishtach Torah Yisrael, if Chas v'shalom would come to be that the entire Torah was forgotten, madron olam b'pilpulai, I'll be able to deduce everything in the Torah by being mefalpel. Amalei Reb Chanina answered back to him, you're trying to argue with me. The Avdil Torah, the Leit Tishtachim Yisrael, I did even better. You're saying, well, you could restore Torah if it was forgotten. I'm going to make it that it shouldn't be forgotten. Maya Vidna, what did he do? And we had this back, I think in Psachim. Azlina, Vishadina Kisla, he went and he planted flax, Vagadilna Nishvi, and he made nets out of it. B'tzaydna Tevi, and he caught deer. Machilna Basrayil Yasmi, he would feed the meat of the deer to the Yisaimim. V'arichna Megilta, and he made scrolls from the hide, because Vana Chamisha Chumshi, and he put the 5 Chumshi Torah, and I guess also Mishnayos on them. He put the 5 Chumshi Torah on it. V'salikna Lamasa, he brought it to the city. Makrana Chamisha Yenuka, Chamisha Chumshi. He taught 5 Yisaimim, he took each one of them, he assigned a different Chumash. One did Bereshis, Shemais, Vayikra, Bamidbar, and Devarim. Umasnina Shisa Yenuki, Shisa Sidrei, and he taught 6 Yenukas, 6 Yisaimim, 6 Sidarim of Mishnayos, each one a different Seder. V'amarna hu ad hadrana v'asina ekru hadadi. Before I come back, I want you to teach each other what the thing that I taught you, teach to all your friends. V'asnu hadadi. And they taught it to each other. Therefore, I caused that the Torah shouldn't be lost. That's what they say, how Gavaldik Reb Chia was, even as opposed to Reb Chanina, who could have restored the entire Torah. Amalei Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Afilu mimar. He said, is Reb Chia greater? He said to Rabbi, is it true? Are you saying that Reb Chia was even greater than you? Amalei in. He said, yes. So he asked him, Afilu mi Abba, even your father? I think it was Reb Gamliel. Amalei chas v'shalom. He said, no, you can't say. Say Reb Chia was greater than my father, that you can say. Like, hey, because I speak Yisrael. Such a thing is unsayable. Amr of Zera. Emesh nearly Reb Yossi bar Chanina. The other day, Reb Yossi bar Chanina came to me. He was already in Nifter. He came to him in a dream. Amarti le etzel miata tekua. He said, who are you standing next to? Amale etzel Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yosi Bar Chanina said he was standing next to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan etzel me. Who was Rabbi Yochanan next to? Etzel Rabbi Yana. Yana etzel me. Etzel Rabbi Chanina. Chanina etzel me. Etzel Rabbi Chia. Amarti loy. Rabbi Yochanan etzel Rabbi Chia loy. Rabbi Yochanan has to go through all these intermediaries. There's one person, he's next to another person, next to another person, who's finally next to Rabbi Yochanan, next to Rabbi Chia. Amalei, ba'at deskuken uro burin da'asha. Man ma'ayel barnaf. He said in such a place where Rabbi Chia was, there's a mamish bolts of lightning and fireballs. That's a very kaddish place. And barnafcha, meaning Rabbi Yochanan was not able to withstand it. It was too much for him. Amarav, Chaviva, Ishtoili Rav Chaviva Bar Sumiki. I was talking to Rav Chaviva Bar Sukami. Chazal Yehum Rabbanan to have a shliach Eliyahu Gabai. I saw one of the Rabbanan that Eliyahu would come to him. The Lutzafra have a Shapirin Eina, that in the morning his eyes were clear. And at night they looked like they were burnt. He said to him, what happened to your eyes? I asked Eliyahu, let me see when the Rabbanan, the one in Shemayim, when they go up to the Mesifta the Rikia. You can look at all of them. You can't look at the procession of Reb Chia, because you can't look at it. What's the difference by it? All of them are brought up and down. All the other Rabbanan are brought up and down by Malachim. The Reb Chia, except for Reb Chia, the Menafshe Salik V'Nachas. It goes up and down on its own. And he wasn't able to restrain himself. He was warned, don't look at Reb Chia because it's not safe. Because he goes out, he's in a different level of Kedusha that you're not ready to see. He looked anyway. Istalkiba. He looked at it. Asu trei butiti dinura. 2 bolts of fire came out. Machyusa lo gavra v'samenu. And they hit this person and they blinded him. Samnu le'ene. Lamacha azli. Next day he went. Ishtatchi amarisa. He came to Rabbi's kever. Amina masniya demar masnina. Didn't I learn what your teachings? I dedicated myself to learn your Rabbi's teachings, and now by looking at you, I got blinded. This story, and he got healed. Once we said a story about Eliyahu, we're going to say another story about Eliyahu. Eliyahu have a shchiach b'mesifta de Rebbe. Eliyahu would come learn by Rebbe. He was there. He was found to be found there. Yom Echad Reish Yarcha one Reish Chodesh Nogalei. He was late coming. Amalei my time in Nogalei. So Rebbe asked him, why are you late? My time in Nogalei Lamar. Amalei Eliyahu told him, Adu Kimna Lavram. I had to wake up Avram, Umashina Yade, and wash his hands, Umatzli, and he davened, Umagnina, and then I put him back to sleep. Each one I had to wake him up and take care of him and put him back to sleep, and then wait for the next one. So Rebbe asked him, look, Minu Bahadi Adadi, why do you have to do them separately? Why don't you wake them all up at the same time so you can get to them to Beis Medrash on time? Savri Takfu Barachme. He said, the reason I can't do that because if Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov are all awake at the same time, they're going to daven and going to bring Mashiach before the proper time. So Rebbe asked Eliyahu, you let the secret out of how to bring Mashiach. Is there anyone similar to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in the world who's still alive that I can go to and get them to daven? Amalei Ikar Rav Chia Banav, Rav Chia and his sons. Gaza Rebbe Tanisa, Rebbe declared a tinus. Achtinu Rav Chia Banav, and Rav Chia and his sons came. And he made them the chazanim that they should daven, and they would daven together. Amamashav Ruach, the Nishba Zika. He said the Ruach should come, and it started to blow a wind. Amamayr Hagoshem Asa Mitra. When they said Mayr Hagoshem, the rain came. It was evident that whatever they would geyser was being mekuyim. When they were getting up to Tchias HaMesim, Ragesh Alma, the world started to tremble. Amri Berakia, Man Gali Razia Ba'alma. So they said in the Shemayim, the Baruch Shem said, who is the one who gave the secret? Obviously, Rebbe glommed on to the secret about who can bring Mashiach early. Amar Eliyahu. They said Eliyahu is the one. Asiyul Eliyahu. They brought Eliyahu. Machiyu Shisin Pulse Denura. He got hit with 60 fireballs. Also, Inmi Lahu Doiva Denura. So Eliyahu realized he was on the hot seat. He better do something about this. He's getting punished for what he did. So he made himself appear like a beer on fire. It sounds like a terrifying proposition. Like I never. You imagine Gemara's talking about a beer that's a doiva, denura made out of fire. Ol Beinayu came into the davening v'tardinu, and he distracted everyone. He stopped them from completing, from getting to the tefillah of Chiyas HaMesim and causing Mashiach to come early. Shmuel Yarchino, there was someone named Shmuel Yarchino. Asya the Rebbe have. He was the doctor of Rebbe. Cholish Rebbe Be'ena. Rebbe got sick in his eyes. Amli imlach lach sama. He said that so this doctor said to him, let me prepare for you a strong medicine. Amli yachilna. He said, I can't handle it. So he said, Ishtalach mishta. So maybe I'll put it around your eyes, like a cream around your eyes, but not directly on your eyes. Even that's too much. Have a moisavle the gufsa de samni tusi besadya. So he put some kind of medicine underneath his pillow, the itzi, and that was able to soak through even such a gentle amount that it had to soak through his pillow to get to his eyes. It was enough to cure him. Have a comment star Rabbi lemisamche. Rebbe wanted to give smicha to this doctor who helped him. It wasn't working out. In order to give smicha, you had to arrange 3 rabbanim. He couldn't get them together. You should. So this Shmuel Yarchina told him, don't be worried about it. He said, I saw the Sefer of Adam Arishan. It says in Shmuel Yachino, Chacham Yiskari Rebbe La Yiskari. He's going to be called a Chacham, but he's not going to be called a Rebbe. It's my fate that I shouldn't get smicha. But also the Rebbe Ayade Tehei Zakimara, what was it? Also the Rebbe Ayade Tehei, and the cure for Rebbe should come from him. So this is all predestined that I should be able to heal you, and I shouldn't get smicha. This next, I'm not going to go through the Rashis, but I would recommend you look at the next 2 Rashis. Rebbe Avnasan Seif Mishnah. Rebbe and Reb Nosson are the end of the Mishnayos. They're the ones who will convey the Mishnayos. Rashi goes through exactly what that means. That they were masader everything. They took he says technically that they took all the different shitas that were in a big mishmash and they put them into Masechtas. Ravashi Ravina Seif Hayra. And Ravashi and Ravina were the ones at the end of the Amoraim. They put together the Gemara. The Simonach ad Avei al Mikdashi al Avina la'achareim. So we say ad Avei al Mikdashi until al Mikdashi is Rav Ashi. Avina is referring to Ravina la'achareim. They're going to be the last ones. So Rav Ashi and Ravina were the last Amoraim. Amar of Kana. Ishtoi li Rav Chamba bar Barsei the Chasa. Rabba bar Nachmeni, Agav Shmada Noch Nafshe. Rav Chama bar Bars, the son of the son of the daughter of Chasa, he said Rabba bar Nachmeni, which is the Rabba that we have, he died Agav Shmada Noch Nafshe because of a shmad, because of the fear of the authorities. He was nifter. They was whispering about him in the government's house, in the king's house, in the court. Amru, and this always seems to be the complaints against the Jews. It's not any different now. The Kamvatal trace alpha Gavrim Yisrael Yarcha Bekaita Yarcha Besatva Mikarga. They said that there's one Jew who 1 month in the spring and 1 month in the fall, He brings everyone for the Yarchei Kala, and they're bundled from paying taxes during that time. They're not working and they're not paying taxes. Mistavim Mikarga the Malka. Shadru Pistika the Malka, they sent the officer of the king, Basrei, to go find him. Couldn't find him. And why did they find him? Because Rabbi ran away. He went from Pumbedisa la Akra, me Akra la Agma, he left Akra to Agma, me Agma la Shchin, me Shchin la Tzrifa, me Tzrifa la Eina, Leina Damim, or Eina Damim, la Pumbedisa. He went all the way back to Pumbedisa, Ashkechei. And they found him in Pumbedisa. How did they find him? Ikla Pristika, the Malka lahu Ushpiza the Rabba, Krevu, this officer of the king was in the same inn, the lahu Ushpiza the Rabba, where Rabba was staying. Krevu Takakame, they brought a table to this officer, Bashkur Trey Kasi, and they poured for him 2 cups. They took away the table. It caused problems. I think we had this in brachas. Many times you eat doubles, you shouldn't eat in pairs. It's a bad siman. It's bad. It causes problems when you eat anything in pairs. So he took 2 kaises, so it caused this officer to be overcome. Amrule, my ne'evidle gavadam alkohol. They said to Rabbah, look, this officer of the king is suffering. You got to help him, or it's going to be bad for us. Amalu krevu takalakame, bring back the table, vashkiyachad kasa, and pour him another kais. Then it won't be a zugos; it will be an odd number, which is better. And then take away the table, the litzi, and it'll be cured. Avdule hachi, they did like this litzi, and he was tackle cured. Alma medi adana the gavra the kabiina hachahu. So the cured officer said, obviously this chacham who figured this out must be the guy that I'm chasing after. He chased after him and he found him. Amar Azlina meha, and he told Rabbah, go away from here. If they kill me, they'll kill me. I'm not going to say anything. But loy maglina, and I won't tell anyone. But if they torture me, maglina. I'm not. You should be aware that if they torture me, I'm going to give you up. I can't help it. So sounds like that's Taka what happened. They were able to find him. Because I guess they tortured this guy. Asyul Kameh, they brought Rabbah to the Melech. Ailul Ajuna, they put him into jail. The Tarkil above Ampe, and they closed the door behind him. Bar Rachme, and he started to daven, Rabbi daven, Parak Ashisa, and the wall split open, Arak Vazel, and he went out La'agma, he went into the marsh and he hid. Havi Yosef Agridid the Kuli, he was sitting on a stump, like a Garis, and he was learning. Kamifla gave him a sifta dirikia. They were arguing. So machlikas going on at the same time in Shemayim. In Beheris Kaidemas l'she'er Lovan Tameh, v'im she'er Lovan Kaidem l'Beheris Tar. The din is that if there's certain types of Beheris, of certain types of Negoyim, that if it has a white hair in it, it makes it Tameh. But the din is, it depends. If the white hair came beforehand, maybe just like a white hair like I have. But if it's a white hair that came after the nega was already, the white spot was already there, then it's a siman tumah. Suffix, what if it's a suffix which came first? Because Baruch metar kul mesifta d'rukiya amri tameh. It's machlokes in Shemayim between the Rebbeinu Shalom and the mesifta d'rukiya. The Rebbeinu Shalom said it's tar, and everyone else said it was tameh. But amri man noichach, they said who's going to decide this? Noicha Rabba bar Nachmeni. Rabba is the one who should answer. The Amar Rabba bar Nachmeni. Ani yachad b'negoyim, ani yachad b'yahalis. I am the only one. I'm the one of a kind when it comes to saying the halachas of negoyim and the halachas of tumah. The goyim is like this type of tzaras. Shadru shlicha basrei. So the from Shemayim the malachim sent a shliach. It wasn't a good shliach. It was the malach hamavis to go fetch him. Leva Motzei malach hamavis l'makarav lei. Lo have a kapatzik pumi megirse. Like David HaMelech, the Malach HaMavis was not able to interrupt him from his learning, which is a interesting thing because it sounds like they had a kasha in learning, right? They wanted to ask him a shaila. So how is it interruption? But vice dice that they were stam talking and learning in Shemayim, but it's not the same thing as learning in here. There's an old klal that limud has to be lahavili de maisa. So learning in Masifta Rakia is not lahavili de maisa. It's not as valuable. So it would be bittul Torah to interrupt real learning for that learning. So the Melech HaMavis already knew what trick to do. He did the same thing he did by David HaMelech. Adahachi nashav zika, ve'evish beinikani. He made a wind go whistling through the reeds. Sava gunda de parshi hu. He thought it was the soldiers chasing after him. Amatenech nafshe dahu gavra v'layimsa biyad de malchusa. He said, it's better I should die than be brought to the king, to be caught by the king. Kavakanicha nafshe. As he was being nifter, Amatar tar. He said, tar, it's tar. Yatsa baskal v'amra, ashrecha rabba banachmeni, shegufcha tar v'yatzasa nishmacha b'tar. Your guf is tar, and your neshama went out while you were saying tar. After this happened, Nafal Piska Mirakia B'Pumadisa, a declaration or a sign from the Shemayim came in Pumadisa, Rabba Bar Nachman Tzvakas B'Yeshiva Shalmaila, that informed everyone he was out in the wilds, in the marsh, and said he was nifter. Nafku Abaye v'Rava v'Kul Rabbanan L'Yisukabe, they all went out to bury him. L'Haviyadi, they couldn't find him. It seems like this is maybe a callback to the earlier Gemara. We said that only someone who it's someone who's greater can always find someone who's smaller, right? Rish Lakish was upset that he couldn't find. He felt he was greater in learning. This is part of the praise of Rabbah, that even Abai and Rava and all the Rabbanim were not equal to him. Azul Agma, they came to the Agam Chazutzi Pari de Metali V'Kaimi. They saw birds that were making a shade. They said it must be that that's where he is, that the Rebbe was making a shade on top of him. She shouldn't be master, he shouldn't be subject to the sun. They were masped him for 3 days and 3 nights. Novel Piska Kol, and a declaration came down. Whoever leaves this hesped will be put into Cherem. Savdua Shiva Yumi. Then they must masped him for a full 7 days. Nahul Piska, after 7 days, it was enough that they could go in peace to leave the hesped. Huyuma de Nach Nafshe, on the day that he died, Dalia Zafa, Vidari Lahutaya, Kirochav Galma, Behind Migisa, Nahar Papa, Vishadabak Gisa. It picked up this traveler, this sailor, that was riding on a gummel, that picked him up from one side of the Nar Papa to the other side. Amr Maihai, he said, what's going on? Amr Nach Nafshi de Rabba Banachmeni. He said, they told him that Rava was nifter. Amr Lefan Rabban Shalom, Kuli Amadi Dachu. The whole world is yours. Rabba Banachmeni di Dachu, and Rabba Nachmeni is also yours. The Rabba di Dach, Amai Kamachav, both at the Rabba V'Rabba di Dach. You belong to Rabba and Rabba di Dach, like Anila Daidi V'Daidi Li. You both belong, you both are very close. Why should you destroy the world because of this love that you have for him? Nach Zafa, and that caused the winds to die down. Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafta, Bal Basar Hava. Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafta was very large. Yom Echad Hava Chamim Alei. One day he was very hot. Hava Salih v'Yoshev Ashina Detur. He was standing on top of a mountain. Amalei Labarte. He said to his daughter, Bati Hanifi Alai b'Manifa. Fan on me. Vani Etnalecha Kikaran Dinard. I'll give you some type of perfume. Adachi Nash Bazika. And then the wind came. Amakama Kikaran Dinard Lamari Dichi. How many presents of this perfume do we owe the Rebbeinu Shalom for that which he always provides us with cool breezes? Okay. I think I would go for another while, but at some point we're going to have to do extra. Well, hopefully tomorrow we'll do a little bit extra as well. Okay, shkayach.
All right, thank you.